I'm always on the hunt for new and unique tech that stands out from the crowd. In today's video, I've got a roundup of some travel and everyday carry tech gadgets to share with all of you. So without any further ado, let's dive into the first item, and that is the Moft Snap Stand Power Set. Basically what you have with this is a Magsafe power bank, which we've all seen before, but you also have an attachment that works as a stand and a wallet combined. I have a couple of small issues with this, but it's much more good than bad. First off, with the overall materials and build quality, really great. They use a faux synthetic leather on the exterior of both the battery and the wallet kickstand. Both feel really nice. Definitely has like a premium build quality overall with the whole package. The snap stand and wallet function works really well. You just flip this out and you can use it to set, and you have your phone on there, self-explanatory there. On the back side though, you have a wallet that'll hold up to 3 cards, they state. I found 2 works a lot more comfortably than 3, but you could probably squeeze 3 in there if you need. And I really like the fact that these are both separate. So if you want to just use the wallet and the kickstand, you can. If you want to just use the power bank, you can. If you want to use them together, you can. All really solid. I love the way that they set this up. One thing that was a slight disappointment was the battery capacity. This is only 3,400 milliamp hours, which isn't bad, and I think it's perfectly reasonable for like an everyday carry type of item, but I'd probably want a little more capacity for travel. One other slight disappointment I found with my testing is that it will only charge at 10 watts. I feel like 20 watts should be a standard minimum at this point. I know it's a little nitpicky, but 10 watts was just a little bit slower than I was hoping for when I did my tests. That being said though, there are a couple of other features for the charging that I thought were great. First off, it does do pass-through charging, so you can keep this in, charge your phone, and charge the power bank simultaneously. Really nice touch. I always love to see it. But something that I haven't seen anywhere else is they have an attachment here where you can turn the USB-C port into a little Magsafe port. They give you a cable with this little dongle that you can put into the USB-C port, and then that kind of turns the whole charging port itself into this nice little like magnetic breakaway charging cable. Really cool and really unique feature, and I do really appreciate that this is removable and not just a proprietary charger on its own. So you have the option of just using a standard USB-C cable, but I thought that was a really cool touch. I love MagSafe in the MacBook charging. I was so happy to see that they brought that back with the newer models. But yeah, this combination of everything is just something I haven't seen before. A couple of flaws, but if you're okay with a bit of a slower charging speed and a smaller capacity battery, overall, I think this thing is really nice. Next on the list is some nostalgia for us older gamers. This is a little pocket retro handheld gaming console. It's the Anker RG351V. This is a newer pickup for me. I've been having a blast with it. But for the uninformed, this is just a little handheld console that'll run emulators of older games. This one specifically will kind of handle up to PS1 games as well as some N64 games. So anything below that, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, PlayStation 1, all the classics from my youth. This actually comes preloaded with a bunch of emulators as well, which was a nice touch. So if you're not super tech savvy or don't want to get into all of that, you actually get quite a few games in here automatically. But for $89 when I picked this up on Amazon, I was really impressed with the overall build quality. The actual screen itself is really nice. It's a 480p 3.5-inch screen. It's super bright. The colors look great. Battery life has also been really solid. It's 3,900 milliamp hours. It runs for about 6 hours. For my testing, I can confirm that seems pretty accurate to me. Anker makes a ton of different options and models for these. So if you want something that can handle, more recent games, from PS2 or the original Xbox, something like that, check into some other options. Again, the community around these things is strong. There are 3 different color choices for this model specifically though. I went with this black transparent one. Originally, I was going to go with that sort of original Game Boy gray color that they had, but I saw that this was transparent and it just reminded me of the old Game Boy colors. This thing has just been so much fun to have. It's inexpensive. It's small to throw into a backpack or a sling bag. I think it's a little more versatile for me because I have, streaming for my Xbox. I can play on my phone. I feel like getting a Steam Deck or a Switch is just overkill and wouldn't be enough for me. But if you want some good handheld games without spending a ton of money, go back into some older classics. I've been having a ton of fun. Would definitely recommend this. If you have any more like higher powered options to run, PS2 and all of the N64 games, let me know in the comments. I'm really diving into all of this stuff right now. I've been a bit obsessed, so I'd love to hear about it. Next item on the list was a bit too big to fit on the table with everything else. This is the Anker SOLIX F2000 power station, formerly the PowerHouse 767. Anker was kind enough to sponsor this week's video as well, so a huge thanks to them. First, before we get into this though, I want to let you know that they're running a really great cashback promotion right now during Labor Day on the F2000 here, as well as the rest of the Anker SOLIX lineup. They have solar savings up to $700 off right now, and the F2000 here is $400 off with an additional $79 cash back. Be sure to check the link in the description below, but I want to give a brief rundown of everything that's going on with the F2000. First off, it has a total capacity of 2,048 watt hours. It's expandable up to 4,096 with an additional battery attachment. Has 12 ports in total. You get 4 AC ports. You actually get a TT30 port to be able to plug it into an RV or a camper. You have 2 12-volt car ports, 3 USB-C ports, and 2 USB-A ports. Just tons of connectivity. Handle just about everything you need. It'll cover up to 2,400 watts of power with a 3,600 watt surge. So that'll cover just about anything I can think of. Essentially all regular appliances. You can even run, refrigerators and toasters, coffee makers, just about anything you can think of off of this thing. Something that really stood out to me with this was the insane charging speeds. It has a max AC input of 1,440 watts. It'll go from 0 to 80% in an hour plugged into a wall. You also have the option of using it with solar panels. It'll charge up to 1,000 watts with solar, which is absolutely crazy. You can also charge it directly through the car if you're on a long road trip or something like that. Total weight for this is just over 67 pounds. It's about 20 inches long, 15 inches tall, and 10 inches deep. And in addition to all of the I/O I talked about earlier, you get a really nice light bar here that has 3 different levels of brightness. Really great if you're using it for power outages or in the dark while you're camping or something. Just a little built-in light so you can see what you're doing. It has a really large and bright display built in, which is super useful. You can shut it off as well whenever you need to if you want to conserve as much battery power as possible. And something that was really welcomed for a power station of this size, you have these big beefy built-in wheels. They're plenty smooth on normal indoor surfaces, but they're a little more rugged for outdoor use. Really great to see that. It makes it a lot easier to move around. You have some really solid top handles on either side, and then you have what they call an easy tow handle, kind of similar to a luggage handle that pulls out so you can carry it around, similar to how you would a cooler. On top of the display, you also get a surprisingly great app that pairs with it so you can control it remotely. Obviously really good for convenience and just ease of use, but really useful if you're trying to manage and make sure that everything is working properly, that you shut things off when you're not using them, everything to conserve battery life. I know there was a ton of info and specs, but there's a lot to cover. Regarding use cases for something like this, there are a ton of options and great ways to take advantage of a generator this size. From a safety perspective, something like this can be indispensable in a power outage, a lot quieter and easier than gas generators. If you have multi-day power loss stretches, I had a lot of those when I was growing up. You can plug in the Xbox, TV, something like that, but obviously, keeping the refrigerator running, something like that, this can be a really indispensable tool in that sort of case. But I do think the more fun use case for this would be for camping and overlanding, at least for me. I've really wanted to pick up one of those electric cooler fridges to be able to stick in the back of my car when I'm going car camping. Something like this can run that very easily along with whatever else you might need to charge. If you bring, drones or cameras, e-bike, if you need to bring your laptop and have a working camping trip, I've actually done that before myself. You can charge just about anything you need for a camping situation. And like I'd mentioned before, you have a TT30 port on the front here. So if you do have an RV or a camper, you can plug directly into this. Nice and convenient, obviously, but you can save some money on electric hookups, which in some campsites can be, $20, $30, $40 more expensive than other sites. But then you also open up the option for more wild camping. That's typically what I do, in BLM land and national forest land. Go out camping, you don't have to be around anyone. This will keep things powered for you, which is awesome. Possibilities are endless. I've been really excited. The overall build quality is really nice with this. It's rated to last up to 3,000 charge cycles. It uses, EV grade batteries inside, which is awesome. You also get a 5-year warranty, which is nice to see. If you're interested in picking one of these up, be sure to check the link in the description below. Take advantage of the solar savings promotion. Huge thanks again to Anker SOLIX for sponsoring this week's video, and let's get into the next item. I'm sure you all know by now I love staying organized. Next up we have the Pioneer Carry Global Pouch. I've had my eye on this company for a long time. I originally found them on Huckberry. I saw some of their wallets for sale and they looked really great and just never got a chance to pick one up. I am excited to be checking out a couple of their products now. This one being the Global Pouch. This is kind of designed to be just an organizer for whatever you want, whether it's tech products, everyday carry stuff, or toiletries for a DOP kit while you're traveling. I really like the simplicity in the design as well as the quality of materials that they're using here. Just have 2 pockets on each exterior wall, and then you have 1 zippered pocket in the center. I love having organization in these pockets, but so often they can be over organized to the point where the specific spots are a little too niche to use for a lot of things. So this strikes a really good balance for me. Totally a personal preference type of thing, but for my preferences, this is just about as perfect as it gets for organization. Where this really shines though is just the materials and attention to detail in the manufacturing. This material here they call 3XD. They have a couple of different options for the different fabrics themselves, but this is just a really nice matte fabric with a soft touch finish. It's DWR coated as well, so it'll be water and dust repellent. The real standout for me in both this pouch and the wallet that I'll be talking about in a future video is this fabric. I really love it. On top of that, you do get YKK AquaGuard zips on the outside as well. So really great for a DOP kit or a tech kit if you don't want water coming in, or a DOP kit for water coming out. All in all, just really simple and high quality. If you're in the market for a good little pouch, and if that organization style sounds good for you, the best of the best in terms of the manufacturing and design for this. Got some EDC tech next with the Olight Arc Field UV flashlight. This kind of falls into a similar category to me as the Moft snap stand that I talked about earlier. I've seen all of these features in other things, but I've never seen them executed in quite this way. It was really fascinating, and the build quality is really solid with this. Going over the basics, it's about 3 ounces in weight. You get this really nice deep carry pocket clip. The regular flashlight itself will go up to 1,000 lumens. That's generally more than enough for my use case. I know some people like the really high powered stuff. They're fun, but just technically not something I need day to day, to be honest. In addition to the regular flashlight though, you get a built-in UV flashlight as well that covers the 365 nanometer wavelength. UV flashlights for me are both a ton of fun and really useful in some specific niche scenarios, so it's nice having it as just a little add-on here. I have one other flashlight that is a dedicated UV flashlight that I've used before, but I wouldn't carry that generally on its own in most cases. But having it as an extra thing in an already, pretty good flashlight here is a nice touch. If you want to check cleanliness of different things, check, paper money to make sure that it's legit. Tons of different use cases for UV light. Probably not something you need if you haven't heard or thought about it before, but those of you that use UV lights, it's a nice little addition here. One thing with this that was simultaneously cool and a bit of a downside was the way that you charge it. It uses a magnetic stand charger, so you're able to just sit it on the charger almost like an Apple Watch or something, plop it on the stand and charge it, and it's magnetic and it's really nice and convenient. I'm not a huge fan of dedicated proprietary charging mechanisms because USB-C should be a good standard, makes things easier to use, different cables, more cables, it adds to the longevity. If a cable breaks, you don't have to buy an expensive replacement for this, or maybe you can't even buy an expensive replacement and you just have to throw this thing out if you lose the charger. So having non-proprietary charging cables is a really good thing overall. That being said, this is a really nice and convenient way to charge. So if you're okay with a really short charging length and the proprietariness of this doesn't bother you, it is really nice and convenient to use and charge a flashlight. But a bit of a downside considering this would be the only cable and the only way to charge it. It's maybe 2 feet long here, 18 inches or something. You know, so if you lose this, you're out of luck. But while you have it, it's going to be really nice. So kind of a double-edged sword there with that. I'd love to hear if you have any thoughts on that whole topic. I've been getting into it more and more lately. I'd love to have a discussion with some folks that might be interested. Next up is a bit of an outdoor item. I probably should have put it in my last video, but this is the Nitecore AP10 electric air pump. I've seen and tried a few of these over time. I think this one specifically strikes a pretty good balance for the size and weight compared to some other ones. Usually you'll see something really small and tiny with, a smaller battery, more designed for like ultralight backpacking, or you'll see, big air pumps that are designed for car use and need to be plugged in, and they'll have unlimited capacity obviously, but you need to have a running vehicle with you. I think this is a really nice touch and addition for that sort of in-between space. Where it's light enough where you could still take this backpacking, but I think it's substantial enough to use for a lot of other use cases that smaller backpacking pumps wouldn't be good for. Blowing up big full-sized air mattresses, blowing up kayaks, or big inner tubes, things like that. I think this is a really good balance in that sort of situation. It weighs just over 6 ounces in total. You get a few different nozzles included with it, so you can make sure that it attaches to whatever you're trying to blow up. Charges via USB-C, which is great, and then you also do get a built-in lantern as well, which is a really nice touch and just an easy way to add some functionality to something like this. You get a little hook attachment here, so if you want to put it on the hood of your car, or if you want to hang it up in your tent and have some additional lighting without having to use a headlamp. Overall, just really nice design. I found it to work really well. It's got about 40 minutes of runtime, so I think you can really, use this for some larger items that some of these smaller pumps wouldn't be, but it's still a lot more convenient than some of the bigger, non-battery powered air pumps out there. All right, our next item is a bit of a stretch in this video context, but it was so unique and kind of had such a techie vibe. I wanted to include it here and talk about it because I just think it is so cool. This is the Novium Hover Pen. It is a magnetic base stand pen. Maybe not the best for an everyday carry or travel situation, but really cool if you want to have a nice little statement piece on your desk to add some interest and just have some fun for yourself. The pen itself is an aluminum body with a satin finish. It uses Schmidt D1 cartridges. Found that it writes really well, and you could obviously carry this around on its own, put it at the desk when you get home. That works well and fine. You have a zinc alloy base. It has a really good weight to it, so it's not going to be sliding around on your desk. Overall, just a really fun and unique type of pen. I hadn't really seen much else out there that's doing something similar, so I wanted to share it here. And the pen is pretty reasonably priced considering what you're getting, and I thought it wrote pretty well as well, just to use as a regular pen aside from the showiness of the stand. But that's going to wrap it up for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed the list here. I'd love to hear from you in the comments if you have any thoughts about anything, if you have any cool tech, EDC, or travel gear that you want to share and let me know about in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Thank you all so much for watching though, and I'll talk to you in the next one.